Hello and welcome to this Aim High Live on how to commit fraud and get away with it. I'm just going to switch over to this straight away. Yes, today is about how to commit fraud and get away with it. So yeah, if you're joining for the first time, then thanks for coming. You can ask questions in the whenever you like, and I'll just direct the way that this will go. So this is mainly going to be around like the kind of science of numbers and like mysterious things like that. But it'll also take on lots of tangents. So Japan Maple's already coming and saying, time to make some money. Yeah, maybe. I mean, you can use these instructions or you can not. It's up to you whether you use them or not. But yeah, if you are watching on one of my pages, like my Facebook or my YouTube, then make sure you go here afterwards because you can only see me on here. All the others, I'm just going to take this off. All the others are because there are loads of other people doing these things, and you can only see them via here. So do come here and do go there for the ones in future. Right. Okay. So thanks so much for coming, everyone. Let's get going. First question is this. First question is, what's weird about this hand? What's going on with this hand here? What's the mystery of this hand? Angel saying that mum was concerned about why she's taking this class. Well, this class is about it's something really interesting, and it's kind of like maths mixed with science, which is why I think it's down as maths actually. I saw. Oh, I can't understand. I couldn't read that, Mariella. Anyway, right. So yeah, today's live is on how to commit fraud and how to get away with it. So if you're joining late, then you can ask questions whenever you want. And I'm just gonna kind of roll into it piece by piece. So first question is, what's going on with this person's hand? And loads of people have said, yeah, it's got 6 fingers. Now, what do you guys think is more likely? Let's take a vote. Do you think you are more likely to have 6 fingers? So do you think you're more likely to have 6 fingers, or do you think you're more likely to be born on the 29th of February? What do you reckon is more likely, having 6 fingers or being born on the 29th of February? Get your thoughts in. Someone's saying Photoshop. That does look like a Photoshop job, to be honest, doesn't it? Okay, people are saying 6 fingers. Pumpkin Master's late. Hi, Pumpkin Master. Bye, mate. Welcome. So Northern Boy's birthday is 28th. Okay, what do we... So Leonard's going for 29th of Feb. And Oliver's saying born in February, surely. Yeah, okay, you are more likely to be born on the 29th of February than you are to have... No. Yes. No, it's the other way around. It's the other way around. You're more likely to have 6 fingers than you are to be born on the 29th of February. It's actually having 6, like being born with it with an extra finger is not that uncommon. It's one of the most common human mutations that happens. And yeah, if you're more likely to have 6 fingers than you are to be born on the 29th of February. And Frostbite is saying, sorry they're late. Don't worry, it's fine. Don't worry about being late. We're just talking about whether you're more likely to have 6 fingers or be born on the 29th of Feb, and you are more likely to have 6 fingers. Is anyone in the chat was anyone in the chat born with 6 fingers? And Pumpkin Master saying it's called polydactyl. Yeah, so poly meaning many and dactyl meaning your kind of like limb parts. Well, actually more like the splits of your limbs. Okay, so Nika Chisen's cousin was born with 6 fingers. Chicken saying that almost everyone has 6 fingers. We usually just have them spread over 2 hands. Shrewd. A very shrewd point, Chicken of Bristol. Okay, Kieran's saying that he was born with 6 fingers. It's actually really, really common to be born with 6 fingers, and you're more likely to be born with 6 fingers than you are to be born on the 29th of Feb. Right. Okay. So I am gonna just get rid of this. So another question that's like a cool maths question is this: how many? I'm actually not going to explain this one. I'm just going to do it while we're waiting for more people to join before we get into the how to commit fraud and how to get away with it. Who knows the answer to this? If you here's a dog enjoying its birthday. How many people do you need in a room before there's a 50% chance that people share a birthday? How many people do you need in a room before there's a 50% chance until there's a 50% chance that 2 or more people share a birthday? How many people do you need for there to be more than a 50% chance that 2 or more of them share a birthday? What do you guys reckon? Just going to shove it all in green along here. Green. In fact, let's pop it along the bottom. Okay, so answers coming in. So Nico's saying 500,000 people. No, it wouldn't be 500,000. Angel's saying 574.5. And Lennon's saying 182. Vale is saying 23. Yeah, and Max is saying 23 as well. And Tekkens is saying 20 or something. Exactly, it's 23. You only need 23 people in a room at the same time before it's more likely than not that 2 or more of them will share a birthday. So the answer is 23 people. I'm actually not really going to explain that this time because I want to get on with how to commit fraud and get away with it. But just to get you thinking about it, if you want to know like part of why that is, it's the crucial words are 2 or more people share the same birthday, because actually you're not just taking into account the probability that 2 people share a birthday, but also that 3 people share one, or that a couple of people share one and 3 other people share one, and there are loads and loads of different combinations that you can have of people sharing birthdays. And so actually you only need 23 people, which is why in like a standard like school class, which is going to be, you know, usually above 23 people, normally a couple of people share a birthday. And in fact, here's a big question: how many people do you need before it's 99.9% likely that 2 or more of them will share a birthday? What do you guys reckon? It's also saying 50, Max saying 50, Pumpkin Master saying 45. It's 75. 75 people. If you get 75 people, then 75 people in a room means there's a 99.9% chance that two or more will share a birthday. I think that's such a cool fact. It's such a weird thing of stats. Like humans are actually so bad at understanding stats. Like there are loads of these tests where they go to a load of maths professors and they like give them questions and they say you're not allowed to calculate them. You just have to guess the answers. And these professors always get them wrong. They always get them wrong not because they're not smart, because they are very smart people. It's just that maths is like, when you try and do maths intuitively, you almost always get it wrong. Like the human brain is not good at intuitive maths. So it seems weird that you only need 75 people in a room to give you a 99.9. Ooh, actually, Warpod's saying 70 people is 99.9 and 75 is 99.97. Warpod, you might actually be right, because to be fair, I only did the calculation for 23 and I pulled 75 out of my memory. And so you might be right, there's 70, you only need 70 people for a 99.9% chance. In which case, thank you for updating. Okay, right, so how to commit fraud and get away with it. Let's do it. I think we're ready to go. So how is this relevant? You... Yeah, mate, I was just doing a bit of like fun maths before I got going. Before I tell you guys how to commit fraud and then also spread across the internet committing fraud. Right, here we go. So, And for those who missed it as well, just so you know, you're more likely to have 6 fingers than you are to be born on the 29th of Feb. What's that about? That's just how it is. Right, okay, so has anyone ever seen this before? Does anyone know what this is? Does anyone recognise it? Does anyone know where that comes from? And just while I'm seeing if anyone knows where it comes from, because this is important for the story of committing fraud. So got some people saying rainbow, and Max is saying Norse mythology. Leonard's saying a rainbow. Jasmine's saying there might be 4,000 people watching. I don't know. Someone's saying, did someone steal a rainbow? Right, okay, no. This is all part of an extremely strange and mysterious thing called the Codex Seraphinianus. So basically, there was this guy who made this thing called Codex Seraphinianus, and it's basically this book. Oh, you can hardly read that, can you? Let me do it again, another colour. Yeah, he made this book called Codex Seraphinianus that is full of seeming nonsense. It's full of seeming nonsense. It's full of all these like weird language that no one has ever been able to understand, and it's full of all these strange things. So this is the page that describes this weird world in which you have like twisting rainbows and like, I don't know, mad weird stuff. And the story, and basically there is a way that we know that this is a real language, even though no one has ever been able to translate it and nobody knows what it means. And we're going to come full circle back to that on the other side of me explaining how you commit fraud and why so many people don't get away with fraud. Right, here we go. So Tal says, I don't know who that was. Okay, right, so how to commit fraud and get away with it. Right, I'm now going to show you I'm going to show you a financial spreadsheet from my accounts. So here's one of my own financial spreadsheets. Just have a quick look through that, and I will soon explain to you via this how it's done. But first, I just want to show you this guy. So the reason why all of this theory exists is because this guy here, with his beard and he should be wearing a top hat, for goodness sake. So yeah, this guy here basically discovered this by he was just like sitting in a library and he was looking through these big books of apparently he was looking through huge books of numbers. He was looking through these huge books of numbers and he was just like, for some reason people always want to look up the number ones more than the number twos, and like he kind of noticed that the earlier pages in all the books were dirtier, and he was trying to figure out why. Someone's saying that's a lot of eggs. Yeah, really went to town on eggs in that financial year. Anyway, right. So we're gonna come back to him. We're gonna come back to him later. So right, okay. This is my financial spreadsheet. Now these are my expenses for the year. So these are all the things I've spent money on, and at the end of the year, what I can do is I can submit my expenses and then take that money off, so I don't have to pay that money in taxes. So I can submit these expenses and take money off. Now, if I was going to commit fraud, what would I do to this spreadsheet? So what do you guys think I should do to this spreadsheet so that I'm going to be able to take money back and not pay in tax? What do you guys reckon? And Kieran's saying magic beans are so cheap these days. Yeah, I mean, magic beans are certainly dropping in price. So Chicken of Bristol is saying pad the numbers. Coconut is saying fake the numbers. Yeah, exactly. So and Frostbite is saying raise the amounts. Right. So this is exactly what we have to do. We have to raise the numbers so that we can be like, actually, those shoes for my dog, the government's never going to know if I actually paid 55 for them. They won't know. And like 20 cheese mystery pack, let's just say it was like £22 instead. And by doing this, you can go through and be like, okay, personal windmill. Actually, £150 seems a bit cheap for a personal windmill. Might as well tell the government I paid $872 for it, and so on. And so this is how people fake the numbers. This is how people massage the numbers and make it look like they've spent more in a year than they actually have, so they can get money off, right? Okay, now the problem is that it's really easy to tell when people have done this, and you can tell just in a moment like that because of something that this guy discovered. And let's elongate his beard as his wisdom increases, as his relevance to the live and gingerify it. That's a weird thing about beards. Have you guys ever noticed that even if you have like the darkest hair color, you will still get a bit of ginger in your beard? So weird. But luckily ginger's cool, so it's fine. And also, someone just noticed I drew my 2 from like the wrong way around. Yes, I've always drawn my numbers the wrong way around. Anyway, whatevs. So yeah, just one more recap. For those who are joining late, these are like open online science and maths things that I'm running on aimhigh.co and on Twitch. And yeah, if you want to like learn some stuff that's hopefully a lot more fun and a lot more interesting than what you normally learn at school, but actually also kind of learn a load of cool stuff, then follow this and follow the account, because we're going to be doing this every single day. And what are we doing? Coming up, my memory's so bad. But the things that we've been doing recently are like, why does NASA need sperm whales? That was a good one. And we did What's Outside the Universe, and we're doing all kinds of things. But check it out if you want to watch more. And Gaping Gamer, you should be working, but learning how to commit fraud seems more fun. Mate, this is learning. You are learning. Right, okay, so you fudge the numbers so that you can convince the government that you've spent more money than you actually have, and that's in simple terms like how you commit fraud. And people are trying to get. I can't remember this guy's name. Do people want to know this guy's name? Wait, give me 1 second and I'll find this guy's name, because I've actually lost it. I was supposed to have it all written down in front of me, but I just never wrote down that guy's name. He is called, that's his name, Simon. He's called Simon Newcomb. Right, yeah, this guy's called Simon Newcomb, and he's the guy who kicked all this action off with the whole fraud committing and detecting and whatnot. Anyway, we'll come back to him later. Simon Nukes. So, someone was saying, George, the suspense is literally killing me. Right, okay, so here's how you do it. First thing, so go through your spreadsheet, or go through any spreadsheet, any financial spreadsheet, and just look at every single number and ignore all of the numbers except the first one. So in this box, the first number is 4. And this one, the first number is 9, and this one is 1, 7, 7, 5, 3. And so all we're doing is we're just looking at the first number in the spreadsheet, only the first one. For every single entry. And so literally if someone's trying to detect fraud, they'll just scan a spreadsheet to look at the first numbers like this. So yeah, you go through every single one, blah, 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 blah. And then, right. Now, once this is done, what you do is you take a little chart. Let's just scroll down a little bit. Yeah. So what you do is you take a little chart and you're like, okay, what's the likelihood of getting each number? So what's the likelihood of it being a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or a 4 or a 5? What do you guys reckon? How likely is it that each box is going to start with each of these numbers? And I'm just going to catch up a little bit on the chat when we find out. I'll just type that question in for everyone. What's the chance of each of these numbers coming first? What do you guys reckon? What's the chance of each of these numbers coming first? Okay, so Bromley's saying 10% for each number, Frostbite's saying 10.09, and Jasmine's saying 10%, Fahana's saying 1 in 9. Yeah, okay, so obviously you've got 9 to choose from. So 1 in 9, right? 1 in 9 is, it's just, they're all, makes sense that you just get a line like that, right? So it's equally likely to start with a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, and so on. Cool? Okay, so that's basically how most people think. So most people think, yeah, all the numbers are likely to start like that. So if I'm randomizing the spreadsheet, I've put an 8 here, so I might as well put 60 here. So let's put a 7 there. No one's going to know. 23, let's bump that up to like a 45 because we haven't had many 4s yet. And in our minds, we're thinking, let's randomize the numbers. That is not how it works at all. And this completely blew my mind when I found this out. So this is how my spreadsheet came across when I actually ran I know this is like made up spreadsheet, but I ran a real spreadsheet through this of mine, and it came out like this. The number 1 is way more likely to be the starting number, and then the number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like that. Now, there are more like complicated, sophisticated versions of this rule, and it's called Benford's Law. This is called Benford's Law, and this has been used to like work out loads of different cases of financial fraud. There was actually a case with Trump putting forward his financial numbers in which part of them didn't seem to tally with Benford's Law, and so there was a lot of controversy over it because like it wasn't the first numbers, it was the second numbers, because the second numbers also follow a pattern that is really unexpected. But yeah, for some reason, you should have way more things beginning with 1 than all of the other numbers. So if you're going to fake a financial spreadsheet and you want to get away with it, then putting 55 as shoes for your dog, bad idea. Better to put 155. And because shoes for your dog cost 155 anyway, so you're going to be fine with it. 20 cheese mystery pack, not 22, maybe more like 19. And these big numbers like 872, dangerous, real dangerous. Much safer to put something like 1,258. Way more safe. So this is a really weird part of maths, and they're Gucci dog shoes. Yeah, this is a really weird part of maths, and nobody really knows. Nobody really knew for a long time why this happened, but they noticed that this was happening with it was happening across loads of things. So it was happening across in fact, what do you guys reckon? Throw into the chat some ideas for what you think would be like sets of numbers that would follow this same rule, where the first digits are all going to start with 1, and then a little less 2, a little less 3, a little less 4, and so on. Because it happens with everything, and you can check this out. So like, for example, if you look at the distance away that stars are in the galaxy, then most of them will start with 1s. And the second most will start with 2s, and so on. If you look at sizes of countries in the world, most of them will start with 1s, and then you'll get a few beginning with 2s, and then smaller number beginning with 3s. It happens everywhere. And Poach just explaining what I'm doing, how to lie on a spreadsheet. So, really quick recap for those who are joining late on how to commit fraud before we go into the language bit and the bit about dolphins and how dolphins commit fraud, / not really how dolphins commit fraud, kind of on something else. Really quick recap is that basically the first digit of every single cell, so here it's a 4, here it's a 9, here it's a 1, here it's a 7 and a 7, like we intuitively think that all of those cells should begin with either a 1, a 2, a 3, or 4, or 5, or 6, or 7, or an 8, or a 9, all equally likely. But they're not all equally likely. In fact, it's way more like this. 1s are way more likely to start spreadsheets. And if you send in a spreadsheet to be tested for like financial fraud, where you've got an even distribution of the numbers that all the numbers start with, then people will know that it's been faked. So I'm not saying that you should fake financial spreadsheets because that's bad. But if you ever are involved in faking something, then people will be able to detect it if you do not follow Benford's Law, which was basically, okay, I'll tell you the story about this guy Simon. So this guy Simon discovered it because he was a total legend, and he was just sat in a library just flicking through a book which literally just had numbers in it. It was just a book of numbers. And he was just flicking through the book of numbers, and he was like, whoa, the number 1s seem a lot more popular. Because back in the day, before calculators, people used to look up numbers. They'd be like, right, go to the index, look up 1,042,000. Oh yeah, there it is, cool. And then they like flick to another page to get other numbers. But yeah, he noticed that the earlier pages in these books were a lot dirtier, and so that was where it all started to come from. Okay, so Coconut's saying a doubt is true about country size. It's 100% true about country size. And that was the other thing I tested when I was like looking into this the other day. That was the other thing that I went on Wikipedia, got all the numbers for, and it was like, yep, Benford's Law. So it does follow it. And Kieran is saying, does it come down to human psychology or is it maths based? It is a maths based thing. It's to do with the fact that like natural sets of numbers, like these kinds of sets of numbers that appear naturally, you know, in a natural world of buying a dolphin phrase book, we're literally about to talk about dolphins and their phrase books. These numbers follow this kind of pattern. So wait, Clacoma said something really long, but it's saying that they can agree with something else. So I don't know what you're agreeing with, so I'm not going to go with that. And Jasmine's asking, why are the pages dirty? So the earlier pages are dirtier because the earlier pages are the pages with the numbers beginning with 1. It wasn't quite just a book full of numbers. It's just like people used to use calculation books, and calculations involving numbers beginning with 1, you'd get help with at the start of the book, and so on as you went through. They were called log table books. Anyway, right, what are we learning exactly? Says Harika Chemba. Well, it depends. It depends when you arrived. Basically, we were first learning about how to commit fraud and how to get away with it, which is this weird pattern of numbers that shows that numbers beginning with 1 are way more likely in nature than numbers beginning with 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then 5 and then 6. So the blue line, the pink line is the real line. Numbers beginning with 1 are way more likely in nature than numbers beginning with 2 and then numbers beginning with 3 and so on. Right. Okay, now for something else I think is really interesting, which is really linked to this, and this is moving on to like dolphins and also taking us back to this stuff at the beginning that I never really explained, so I will come back to this and the 6 fingers maybe. Okay, so here's the Rosetta Stone. Who knows how the Rosetta Stone was discovered, because the story is really cool. How was the Rosetta Stone discovered? Does anybody know? How was the Rosetta Stone? How was the Rosetta Stone discovered? What do you guys reckon? So the Pumpkin Master's saying by accident. Kieran's saying, please tell us. Probably saying it fell from the sky. It didn't fall from the sky, but it was something that was written by the Egyptians. And one of the things I was talking about in one of the other lives the other day was about how Tutankhamun, who was like that boy king of the Egyptians, he had this dagger that was made of metal from the sky, because there was a time that was kind of before people were making iron. It was before people really knew how to make iron, and so all the iron that existed came from the sky, and they called it iron from the sky because it was like meteorites that had fallen down to the surface of the earth. So yeah, Tutankhamun had this like proper iron dagger that was made of alien iron, and so the Rosetta Stone didn't fall from the sky. And okay, so Indiana Jones, it was kind of an Indiana Jones type moment. And Cedric's saying, wasn't it found in the desert? So it wasn't found in. It was found. This is the story that I know, and maybe someone will correct me, but I was told this by a historian. So he said that there were French troops down in a well. They were down in a well, like down at the bottom of a well, and they were trying to hide from the British. All these French people down at the bottom, and one of them noticed in the side of the wall that one of the stones that was used to build the well had all this stuff written on it, and they were like, oh my god, this could be one of the coolest things ever. And eventually the British captured them, and the French person, instead of keeping it a secret, was like, you've got to check out the thing at the bottom of that well. I know this is a time of war, but like, seriously, it could be one of the coolest things ever. And then they took it back to the UK, and it's been there ever since. And this is the Rosetta Stone, which finally allowed us to translate Egyptian. Sorry, I know I'm going off fraud, but I'm going to come back to that in a mo. So this here is ancient Egyptian at the top, which is your hieroglyphs. And then in the middle is your like Middle Egyptian, which is called Demotic. Ancient Egyptian, and then in the middle is your Demotic script, and then at the bottom is your Ancient Greek. And so finally we could understand Egyptian, because for ages we'd just seen the pictures and there was never any way in. And so the thing about a language is that even if you know that it is a language, and you know that it should work as a language, it's really difficult to translate if you don't have at least some kind of way in, which is why this is such a big mystery, the Codex Seraphinianus. It's this book written by this Italian guy that's just made of total nonsense, and nobody really knows what it means, and maybe no one will ever know unless we get much, much more powerful computers. Right, but here is the cool thing that links it to what I was talking about with fraud. In fact, before I say what links it with fraud, does anybody know how the Rosetta Stone links with committing fraud, links with Codex Seraphinianus? I want to see if anyone's like on top of this. But while we're waiting for that to come in, I'm just going to catch up on a bit of chat. Oh. Okay, lots of people are voting on me putting a top hat on the stone. So I'll give the stone some style, just because it needs some style, just for a mo. I remember the first time I went to the British Museum and saw the Rosetta Stone, because it's not in like a super showy place. It's just kind of like off to the side. And and there was no one else there. Like everyone was kind of crowding around the more impressive looking stuff, and it's just, you look at it and you're like, oh my god, this is the key to this entire ancient language and civilization. Okay, so Jasmine's saying because it's a big stone spreadsheet. Right, okay, I'll explain it to you. Here we go. Does anyone know what this chart is here? And if you've been on one of my lives before, then you will have seen maybe a little bit of this before. Yeah, because I think I've shown you this before, and it's called Slaw. 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 Okay, so Mud Dog saying most common words in the English language. Deadly Physics is saying, did they translate it based on the occurrence of letters or syllables? Is that talking about Egyptian? Oh, with the Rosetta Stone. I don't actually know a huge amount about how the Rosetta Stone was used exactly, but that sounds really interesting. And okay, Disson is saying, is this a frequency graph for words? Right. This is the English language. This is the English language, and the most common word in the English language is the. And the second most common word is of. Now, how much less common is the second word than the first word, do you guys reckon? How much less common is the second word than the first word in the English language? So the English language, that's my favourite language, but it's mainly because I'm rubbish at languages. I'm so bad at learning languages. I wish I could learn them. I've tried to learn. In fact, you know what is the easiest language to learn, I think, if you're English? The easiest language to learn is Norwegian. I quite like Norwegian. I managed to get like quite far with that when I was trying to learn it, but everything else I've just been totally rubbish at. Okay, so half. Yeah, everyone's coming in saying half. So the second most common word is a half as common. Now, the third most common word is, what do you guys reckon? So, yeah, inverse, it's kind of like an exponential decay. Angel's learning Norwegian, cool. Okay, yeah, so the third most common word is a third as common, and the fourth most common word is a fourth as common, and the fifth most common word is a fifth as common, and so on. So yeah, basically it's like it's a sliding scale of each word becoming slightly less common than the one previous to it, but it follows this really nice pattern. Now, this is, as you can see, like super similar to Benford's law. It's exactly the same kind of pattern. It's a law of natural numbers. Oh. Restream chat quit. Oh well, don't need that. I'm following the chat on multiple windows. So yeah, Benford's law is a law of natural numbers, and the Zipf's law is following the same kind of pattern of decaying words. So here's the big question for you: what other languages follow Zipf's law? And I'm not talking about human languages. So what are some non-human languages that might follow Zipf's law? What do you guys reckon? Dolphins. Yes. Oh, and sperm whales has come through, but sperm has been blocked because I was trying to unblock sperm whales. Sperm whales is so good. Yeah, that was spot on. But sperm has been blocked by the system. Oh well. So yeah, dolphins, exactly. So by analysing dolphin sounds using Zipf's law, this is how we know that dolphins have some kind of sophisticated language, just as sophisticated as our own in many ways, but we can't translate it. And we can't translate it because we don't have the way in. We don't have the Rosetta Stone. We don't have that plucky, brave dolphin that's come to hang out with us and been like, come on guys, I'll help you with a few basic words. And until we get that, we can't translate it. And that's why there are things like Codex Seraphinianus that for the time being, maybe we will never be able to translate. So the moral of the story is, if you want to commit fraud, make sure you follow Benford's Law, because otherwise you'll be found out. And you have Simon Newcomb to thank for that. And if you want to speak to dolphins, then please research this, because I think it'd be super sick if loads more people knew how to translate dolphin. So that is basically the end. I'll just move over to this five-fingered person. Thanks so much for coming. Do come along next time. Follow the Twitch stream. Go to the website if you want to. Go to the website if you want to see all the other things going on, because there's like a whole calendar of stuff going on. Although we're updating the calendar every Friday at the moment, so actually the calendar might be a bit blank. So tomorrow it'll be full of stuff. And if you want to get updates on what's going on, then follow on Instagram, which is, I'll type the thing into here. Whoa. All of the handles are aim high live, like that. Okay, someone's asking what's tomorrow. Tomorrow is the only day that doesn't run, so it'll be only weekday doesn't run, so we'll be back on Monday. But yeah, if you want to get notifications about everything, then you follow on Instagram or Twitter or what's the other, Facebook, I guess it's on as well. We haven't got it on TikTok yet, but that's because we just haven't got around to it. But yeah, Aim High Live if you want to get the updates from everywhere, and go to aimhigh.co to follow all of those links. And also, if you wanna, please subscribe to the Aim High on Twitch, and you'll get loads of other people as well. I'll keep doing science, and I'll keep doing like cool things like this. And also, if you wanna, if everyone wants to, I mean, you don't have to do this, but if people filled in this form, it would help me so much. Someone made this form for me so that I could gather information to like try and make these better. And if you want to fill it in, sick. If you don't want to, doesn't matter. But yeah, I will see you guys. Soon. Oh yeah, lives are normally at 1 p.m. No, lives are normally at this time, but for different time zones, we've got them running 3 hours earlier than this, and sometimes about 5 hours earlier than this as well. Thanks for coming, and have a great weekend, everyone. And in fact, keep checking the calendar, because I might put one on at 1 p.m. tomorrow if I can manage it. But probably it'll be Monday. 1 p.m. Ciao. Bye.